Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we are returning to Strategic Command World War II War in Europe, the 1939 scenario, the Grand Campaign, playing as the Germans, and we took Moscow in our last episode, and this episode we wrecked a good chunk of the Soviet army. You can see all of the units destroyed here. 14th Army, 6th Corps, 2nd Shock Heavy Tanks, 1st Anti-Tank, 2nd Corps, 46th Army, Voroshlov Headquarters, 1st Shock Heavy Tanks, and 7th Army. We also managed to split the forces in front of Moscow, so we basically destroyed all those units in front of Moscow, kind of busting this line wide open. And then we've sort of divided this remaining force to a infantry force to the east near Vladimir and a mostly infantry force to the north, northwest of Moscow. So Soviet army in rough shape, losing Moscow, losing that supply center, losing the headquarters. These units are not in good shape at all, and I'm thinking next turn we will continue to reduce them. Meanwhile, in the north, we have taken Leningrad, and we are beginning the drive on Volkov, which is another national morale objective. And then we've been slowly trying to work our way toward Kuybyshev. The Soviets have an army of ours surrounded here. They've got a lot of infantry units here between us and Kuybyshev. But the hope is that we can, now that we've taken Moscow, and now that we've gotten, the enemy morale a little bit lower as a result, although their national morale is still in the 70s, which, 77, that's better than England is. It's not better than the U.S., but better than England. Germany has 120 national morale, though, so things are going okay there. Meanwhile, also in the south near Stalingrad, the Soviets have a number of units that we've kind of laid out our own troops on the push on Stalingrad here, and then we're also trying to push into the Caucasus from Sevastopol, and sort of that bridgehead here we've been slowly pushing in toward Novorossiysk, and then perhaps toward the oil down near Makop, Grozny, and maybe we can drive in toward Baku. Additionally, we've also started to drive into Iran, which is another base that is actually Russian-held, with Tehran having a garrison unit there. So overall, I'd say the Soviets are in a rough spot. We are beginning to move troops to prepare for a potential American landing. I doubt they would land in Europe at the moment, but they very may well land, elsewhere. They could land in North Africa. They could bring the Vichy in against us. We don't really know, but certainly there are possibilities. Additionally, we do have these submarines here. We need to go ahead and replace their losses. Get these guys back up to strength. Go ahead and move some of these different subs around to different... Do we have the one on the... Oh, that doesn't have a... That's a smaller port. All right, so move these guys into the channel toward Le Havre, and then Cherbourg. Some of these guys are already at 10 and just need to upgrade here. But overall, I think the war is going pretty well for us so far as the Germans. Did I bother to bomb anything with these guys yet? The rockets seem kind of pointless. I guess they do a little bit of supply damage if they land in the right place. But I don't know that they do a lot of work here. You can see here we're up to 123 units for the Germans, and then the Italians also have another 21 ground units, so that's 144, although 30 or so of those are garrison units. Soviets were up near 78 or so 2 turns ago, I think it was, and now they're down to 73 or 63. So we'll see how that's going. Soviet income since the fall of Moscow hadn't really taken too much of a hit. You can see there's a bit of a drop-off here, but it's rebounded a bit. I don't know if that's due to convoys that are being shipped to them. Their income's still pretty strong, although the casualties are definitely exceeding the income drawn with all these units getting destroyed. I'm curious if it's the convoys, because their convoy income is up over 200, or around 200 now. That must mean that convoys are shipping from the UK toward them. The UK convoy income is also skyrocketing. Presumably a lot of this money is coming from the US, who is, I'm guessing, shipping, lots of resources their way. Let's go ahead. Do we have any money left? We don't have any money left for the Germans. It's like, why don't we... can we... Oh, damage evaded. So I don't know what convoy mode for the aircraft really does. Like, I guess we'll see if this causes any interdiction damage to the enemy. I'm not sure if it will. We didn't lose any ship. We didn't lose any aircraft, at least. That was good. We got some new subs here in Germany. We don't have any money left. I don't think I have anyone left on the USSR convoy route. Really should. And then ideally we would take Murmansk, but they've got a garrison unit there. You know, honestly, maybe we should... Can the Finns rail anybody up that way? Be great if we could rail a Finnish headquarters unit up that way. Maybe we can next turn. If we could rail a headquarters and a corps up that way, then we could potentially take Murmansk and cut off that entire 200 MPP income for them. The Italians have 140. We can't spend any more of that on R&D. I think their fleet has largely been upgraded already. I don't think they're up to level 2 naval yet. So yeah, I can't really do anything with their fleet, at least in terms of making it better. I suppose we could sail it out and try and, you know, do some damage to the British. But I think I'm going to hold off on doing that for now. Let's just save the money. Maybe we'll buy something with it next turn. But for now, let's end the turn, and then we will see what late July has in store for us. 8th Army suffering attrition. 8th Army is going to get destroyed here. Not quite as disastrous as Stalingrad, but never good to lose an army you don't have to lose. Italy's getting advanced tanks 1, so that'll be nice. At least they'll have slightly better tanks. Germany's income is over 1,000, so the Soviet income being high is a problem, but between Germany and Italy, you know, we've got, what, 1,300-ish income per turn. You know, that's less than the U.S., U.K., and Russia combined, but it's basically the U.S., the U.K., and Russia, I believe, combined, roughly, is what our income is. So, and if we keep inflicting the kind of casualties on them that we did last turn, you know, I don't know if it matters how much money they make. They're not going to have a lot of extra stuff sitting around to play with. Well, let's see what the Soviets do. You can see there's a couple of garrison units near Valkmar as well. Again, all the units they lose also influences their morale, so when units do get destroyed, that reduces your morale as well. So we'll see if we can hang in there. I'm trying to keep those troops near Saratov, you know, alive. They're going to spend most of their units in sort of the Kubijev. It's not really a pocket, but that area reducing that army, but that's actually okay because it's them focusing on one unit that was doomed to begin with and not pushing elsewhere. So overall, I think the results are favorable for us there. Meanwhile, the Russians attacking an Italian corps here on either flank of the Stalingrad operation. Doing some damage there, but not breaking through. We've got some defensive artillery helping the Slovak corps out here, which is getting attacked by a Soviet army on the left flank of the Moscow line. We're taking some damage here, but these guys are, I think, going to survive. Although they're down to 2, but I think they will survive there. So that's the name of the game, withstanding the counterattacks and then being able to sort of focus and isolate the enemy units that are arrayed against you. Alright, so the Soviet army is going to, or corps is advancing down there. They've gotten motorized support here too. So it's not great. Although if I can bring those anti-tank guns up to face those Soviet tanks in wooded terrain, I would hope that bodes well for us. We will see. I don't know, like at the current rate, I don't know that we're going to beat the Russians this year. It might be a 1943 thing. I don't think they'll do well without Moscow, and I think if we continue inflicting these casualties in the summer, then the winter will get them a bit stronger, but won't see them, you know, overwhelm us, and then they will get weaker and weaker as we just, you know, if we destroy more units they can buy in a single turn, it doesn't really matter if they've got a bunch of money. But I'm hopeful here that we can manage to defeat the Soviets still. I think we'll be fine. We'll see. I don't think I'll take Stalingrad or anything, but if I can stabilize that line down there. We got some partisan attacks, but I think all of the areas where they can actually rise up against us are all suppressed. 8th Army is destroyed. Flieger Corps does inflict casualties on the supply line there, so actually that's a good result. Strategic bombers, we've got some of those now. Maybe we can hit London with those things, do some damage. Alright. Let's see here. Only got one shell. We'll shell the flank corps here. Then we'll attack them with the Italian infantry. Not because I think the Italians have any chance, but just to eat up their entrenchment value. Okay. See if my bombers can help destroy them. They did. So we finished off that enemy corps. That's one enemy corps destroyed this turn. These guys already used their points. Okay. More air we can hit these guys with. Get rid of their last entrenchment. Does increase their experience level, though, which is unfortunate. This armored unit attack them twice. Okay. Any chance I can get him with my fighters? Probably not. Alright, destroyed the shock army there with the first Hungarian army. These mechanized troops this way will attack with the regular infantry here, 0 to 2. Although they do get some damage against us. Okay. Wasn't quite the result I was hoping for. We did a lot of damage there. Destroyed 2 units. Sort of crippled a third. I was hoping we'd destroy that third. I suppose these guys can move up here, maybe. No. Pull that Slovakian corps back. And yeah. All right, so other flank. So we got 2 armies so far. Or 2 units, not necessarily armies. Got another corps down here on the southern front. Destroyed this army here on the southern front. Their supply situation must be worse on this flank. Okay. All right. Let's also operate these guys forward here to Moscow. Yeah, those units have very poor supply. Okay, let's go ahead and upgrade these Italian tanks. Anti-tank guns here are going to attack this Soviet tank unit. They did drive it back. They didn't destroy it, but... Why is there a garrison here? Okay. Alright, let's hit the Soviet army. It says 0 to 4. Nice! Destroyed a Soviet army here in the Stalingrad region. Okay, we'll hold those guys in place. Novorossiysk. Alright, nice. The air attack hurt their morale quite a bit. Even if we won't destroy them, we will probably assure that that army will not do anything against us this turn. Okay. Attacking in the south here. All right. What's the supply situation look like next turn? Not great. Can we not operate these guys out to Rizan? Alright. Let's try this. Doesn't really help. Great. I moved that headquarters unit to no real purpose. So we've destroyed a lot of Soviet units down here. Alright, so drawing some reinforcements. And then in the north, let's see if we can't destroy another army. We probably won't destroy him, but... Well... I need to reinforce this guy. Let's hit the enemy tanks here south of Volknov. At the very least, these attacks probably will make sure that the enemy does not. Use that armor next turn. Alright, supply situation should be good for many of these. Not all, but many of these troops. Keep pushing some of these guys into that gap. Can we operate these guys? No. So what I really need to do is to operate that. Headquarters unit to Murmansk. So I can get supply up there. Can't they? Oh, do they have to be in a city to operate out? They can operate up there. Okay. Alright. Well, we'll probably move the Finns next turn. Meanwhile, let's get this German tank unit down to the southern tip of Sicily, and then we can go ahead and move it into North Africa. Okay. Let's not forget about Iraq. Can we? Be great if we could destroy these guys with air. We've got to wait for some of these towns that we've taken to regain their strength. Alright, I think that does it for the Italians mostly, and for the... Alright. Good, good, good. Upgrade our subs here. Okay. Just poor Dover. We're just rocketing. Hitting Dover with rockets. Okay, Tirpitz is moving to Norway. Don't worry, nothing bad ever happened to the Tirpitz when she did that. And the Deutschland heavy cruiser was trying to head up toward Trondheim and ran into a crack British sub. Alright, so we forced it to dive, but I'm worried about what's going to happen to the heavy cruiser Deutschland. Can we get a sub onto her, so at least there's an adjacent sub if the enemy comes back, or not sub, destroyer, sorry. Okay. And that leaves us with a little bit of money left. Any researching we should be doing as Germany? Maybe amphibious warfare. Maybe heavy bombers. Kind of gets us close to the max. The Italians, meanwhile, do have a little bit of bandwidth there, so work on advanced tanks. And that'll do it for the turn. So let's see what the month of August brings. Anti-tank level 2 for our infantry. That should be good if the Soviets get more tanks against us. Long range level 2 gives us even better distance when we upgrade some of those aircraft. Ground attack level 3 should be helpful. And then also production tech, really going to lower costs. So our income is actually over 1,100 now. So I'd just love to see that number go up. Okay. I think the losses that they suffered, certainly the losses they suffered compared to the losses we suffered, I think that was a good turn result for us. I mean, we lost one army. They lost like 2 or 3 plus another 2 or so corps. So obviously that's a favorable exchange for us on those grounds alone. Granted, we do have naval units. We were spending MPPs repairing in the west, but IL-2's flying near Kubajev. The infantry attacking our spearhead coming out of the Kerch Peninsula, but to no real effect. Counterattacking the spearhead coming from Kazan. I think that core may be screwed. It is. Alright, so they destroyed a core of ours. Okay. Poor Italians. Drive him off the Volga there, near Stalingrad. Didn't destroy him yet, though. I was going to say yet was the key word. But even that additional attack just weakened it, didn't destroy it. And he's trying to encircle our spearhead in the south toward Kubachev. That sort of right wing we threw out there trying to flank Kubachev is in trouble. That line is very porous. The Saratov pocket, they may call it, if they close it. All right, we get our U-boats at Constanza. Or Constanta. I think our Flieger Corps probably did a little bit of damage. All right, we lost 1 corps, and then we lost 6 MPPs. Lord Gort. All right, can you hit London? Interceptors, how much damage do they do to you? They evaded the damage on the interceptors, eh? Do we not do any MPP damage? I'm confused. Okay. Level these guys up. We'll go back to sea with overstrength U-boats. Okay, sail those guys north. Deutschland made it into Trondheim. Enemy contact! Alright, so we got a destroyer on the USSR convoy route. We'll put a battleship in behind it. Oh, I never changed their... Oh, well. I was going to say I never changed them to raiders. Should have done that. Okay. Alright, let's try to weaken the enemy armor here. The guard's armor. Alright, so the heavy tanks in front of Volkov destroyed. We'll bomb Volkov with our strategic bombers to reduce the entrenchments there. Move the Isthmus army adjacent there. Hit the enemy corps with the army there. Let's operate this corps up north. And let's operate the Mannerheim headquarters up there also. Alright, so we'll move 2 corps north. Risk there of partisans. All right. 31st Corps destroyed. Let's also hit the 4th Guards Army here. These are the troops to the west of Moscow now that we're trying to wear down and defeat. 3rd Guard Army as well. Oh, fudge. Alright, can we finish him with error? Yep. Alright, we got him with error. Shattered the 21st Army here. Man, these guys have no supply. I was like, why are they folding up like a deck of wet cards? But they have no supplies. That is a good reason why they might not do well. Okay. All right. And then the troops east of Moscow here will take out that lead garrison unit. Go after this corps. Okay, shattered that core. Go for the anti-tank gun here. They've got artillery back there too, interestingly. But we are just like there's nothing left in this force here pretty much. We're driving the other boys. Okay. All right, meanwhile, the Saratov pocket. Okay. All right. Let's Let's reinforce this Italian core here. Swap those armies. Destroy that enemy engineer. I don't know what I'm doing with that rocket, but I've got it, so I might as well keep using it. Alright, Nova risk is fallen. That headquarters forward. All right. Okay. Damn, I thought I should have hit him with the air first. Well, shoot. We'll advance this mechanized force, just hoping it'll pinch off supplies to the troops down here. I don't know why the graphic on the heavy tanks normally makes it look like they have no... like they've already been used. Okay. Give me a good supply. So next turn, probably next to Saratov, we can just... Operating units into the front lines, often not a good idea, but... just in case. Sending these boys here to the desert, to the west of Tripoli. They can dig in there. Okay. Do we have the strength? It's like no supply there, so I can't push them out. What's the supply look like? A little better now that they pulled back to Quam. They really can't destroy that enemy infantry force there. All right. All right. Research. All right, we'll spend the last... We're working on production and industrial tech level 5, which is the highest you can go. Work on some ASW stuff, too. And another chit for long-range aircraft. That's pretty much it for the Germans. So we'll end this turn and see what the enemy has in store for us. Alright, so one of our corps in the middle of nowhere, suffering some attrition. Same for the Desert Boys. U.S. Marines are assaulting the Japanese-held island of Guadalcanal. Doesn't matter for me here. Italy gets Amphib level 1 tech, which should be useful if we invade England ever. Because presumably we'll need to use some Italian troops too, especially involving the Italian Navy at the very least. Although, I guess Amphib doesn't matter for the Navy so much. Right, British are going for a surface force here. They're going for the destroyer on the USSR convoy route. And they're hitting it with air, too, which I have no carrier or aviation up in this area to protect us. I suppose our one protection is that we could throw subs at their carriers if we know where they are. I think Volkov, a national morale objective, will fall next turn, which would be nice in the at least in the case of I need to try and make the Russians a little less effective. I operated my heavy tank unit towards Saratov, but my hope was that this anti-tank unit that's adjacent to it won't be effective against me because they're cut off and won't have supply. But we'll see. British bombers are hitting our our V1 rockets. Army attacks the core here south of Saratov. They're trying to flank me in the Stalingrad region here, swinging an army around the Italian flank. I would have tried to finish me off with the armor unit there. I suppose they still have time. Meanwhile, they're going after our mechanized spearhead near Penza. The anti-tank did attack, but they didn't attack the tanks. I don't know why the AI would choose to do that. Go for the, go for the armor. That's what you're built to defeat. Some shifting of units around. Let's take a look and see where they're at. We're getting close to winter again, which could be, at the very least, put the brakes on any meaningful success in the same way we've had the last few turns. But oh, they deployed a paratrooper as well as a mechanized unit down there near Stalingrad. We may have to shift some of these armor units in that direction if we can't have more success. Sweden is moving toward the Allies, 6%. That's a problem because if Sweden swings past the favoring German point, they may cut off trade with us, which is a big part of our income. Let's go here for the Soviets. Yeah, to me it looks like they're still losing more than they're getting. The red line far exceeds the green line. Okay. Oh yeah, reports. Soviets are at 57 units, so they're attriting slightly, not dramatically, but it's happening nonetheless. Okay. And none of their convoy routes are in reach because we destroyed the closest one. Which was the Iraq convoy route, but when we defeated their forces in Iraq and took Baghdad, that convoy route went away. Get this core to the south. I clicked the wrong button there. Alright. You guys, Special Forces, destroy that anti-tank unit. Good job. My 3rd Panzer Heavy actually has good supplies, so we'll move this out here. Shatters the 20th Corps. Destroys the 33rd Army. Alright, so now we got a nice front here against the Penza line, or whatever this is. Okay. Wasn't able to finish off that armored unit, but we badly beat it up. We'll see if me being within like 2 hexes of Kubachev with the 14th Army as kind of a Hail Mary influences them at all to pull back. This air attack there badly damages this 2nd Army. Alright, they just deployed this 1st mechanized down here, so let's see if we can hit it. Maybe knock it out of action here. Okay, so hopefully they don't flank too much more against the 2nd Corps. We'll put a garrison on the flank there to slow them down. But we badly shot up the 1st mechanized. The 24th Corps here is not in good enough shape to attack. The 2nd Guards, presumably in that northern attack, would be largely on their own. Two air attacks here. Well, we don't finish them off at this base, but I think we'll take their next turn. north. We'll finish off this core here. So the force to the west of Moscow, northwest of Moscow, is now destroyed. Okay. All right. Get the garrison here at Vladimir. Got it. Go for the 42nd Army here. Got it. Tank gun. So alright, let's throw some infantry on this road just in case they want to come out of here against us. We're going to go for Volkov. Got it. And we don't have a unit that can move into the hex. That's funny. So we destroyed the enemy there and we cannot take advantage. Well, shoot. All right. Nice. We destroyed the enemy in Murmansk and took Murmansk. So that was an easy victory, a national morale conquest for sure. I also think it cuts off enemy supply to Russia, so that feels like a big deal. And then any chance we can get Tehran this turn? It'd be great if we could. Did a little bit of damage to it, but not enough. Okay. Trying to take some of these Iranian towns. Okay. Alright, let's move some of these troops west. Okay. So we're gonna operate this headquarters. Here. And alright. These guys already attacked. So did these guys. Alright. Okay. Research with all the stuff that we just finished. Meanwhile, the Italians do have some cash they can spend. Alright, so the Germans should have a bunch more stuff coming in October of this year. Alright. How's the diplomacy working on Turkey right now? 40% chance of success. Sure doesn't seem like it. Sweden is 19% still on our side. Alright, let's see. Their national morale's at 73. Let's see what kind of a hit that gets with them losing Murmansk. Only 3? Feels like that hit should have been worth more. Fleet out to protect the convoy lanes in Norway. Okay. All right. Attrition. Do we not get any, like, hey, you took Volkov, you should get some kind of... Oh, the capture of Murmansk boosts Axis morale. Soviet morale falls. Brazil declares war on Germany and starts raising a force to fight in Europe. Why would you do that at this point, Brazil? Look which way the wind is blowing. Soviet or British cruiser versus German destroyer on the convoy lanes. Deploying a lot of their fleet here. That destroyer is gone. Main question is, do they go after my battleship here, or can I get it out of there? They're driving the destroyer west. I'm waiting for the carrier attack to finish him off. I don't know. All right. Okay, a lot of reinforcements this turn for the Allies. Railing those troops into Saratov, as well as bringing the extra headquarters, might actually give us the strength we need for a late fall push toward the Soviet capital. Okay. Alright, I thought the turn was over, but apparently the AI was just thinking on what it wanted to do. And it is going back on the offensive here as well, after it thought about it. So a couple of armies near Maikop attacking against that core. Soviet army attacked our garrison on the flank near that Italian core, which had been attacked throughout this episode near Stalingrad. Wow, they're really trying to get in there behind us. The supplies are good enough. It would be nice to use that heavy tank unit to push in toward Kubachev in the north. Got a lot of headquarters there. I don't have a ton of supply. Maybe I can use this Italian corps to cut these guys off. Okay. Probably about to wrap this episode. We've been going for over an hour. Okay. Alright, we're not going to do a full turn here, but I'm going to do a few things. Okay. Jesus, there's 2 enemy armies down here? Alright, well, we cut off this guy for the moment. That anti-tank did real well in that last attack here. Alright, so we just destroyed that Soviet armor unit here. Let's try and get in behind this Soviet force here. They got 5 units there, which feel like they should be easy-ish to pocket. Weakened it with my armor, finished it with my air. Nearly destroy this army here. Air troopers will work on it and get it. Alright, so paratroopers move south here, and now we're trying to create a new pocket near Stalingrad. You can flank me, but I flank you better. Do 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 do. Alright, enemy garrison destroyed there. Alright, destroyed the 13th Army north here near Ivanhoe. Alright. In theory, this should give us adequate supply to push on Kubachev. Is Kubachev really unoccupied? Because that would have been a fun sneak in behind and capture. What's their national morale now? 70? Alright, we just drove them out of the city. And destroyed them. Alright. Good news here. For our troops, anyway. We should probably also send some of these units down towards Stalingrad. Given the resources the enemy is deploying on that front, it feels only like logical. Alright. A lot of those guys aren't doing anything. Alright. So, with the fall of... Do they still have... Yeah, it looks like they've got supplies going in at Archangel. Alright, got a British destroyer at least. Okay. Oh, I was gonna say we were able to pull that destroyer back, but apparently not. Alright, our destroyer finished off the enemy destroyer. Or sorry, our cruiser finished off the enemy destroyer. May have been unwise, however, we don't know, but that cruiser's gonna get a lot of attention now. So we'll try and move a sub or two in there where they can screen the enemy force. Alright, let's put these subs on the convoy routes. I clicked the wrong button. Didn't put them on a convoy route. Is there going to be 2 on every route in the northern approaches? I think so. Yep. Alright. So that should be a effective raid this turn, I think. German or Russian convoy route income plummeted after the loss of Murmansk. Okay. All right. Maybe help the drive in Kubajev. All right. Okay. Alright, well, that'll do it for that. I think what we'll do here is we've been going for over an hour, actually almost an hour and a half. So we're going to wrap this video up here, and I will see what we need to do off camera and bring that... Oh, shoot. Okay. All right. So I think we will finish this turn off next time. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'm out. Bye-bye.